Hey guys, Scripted Brewer with another video, and this was the one I was going to do yesterday. Just ran out of time, had some stuff I had to go do, so we're going to do it today. Star Wars Master of Evil novel finally explains Emperor Palpatine's weakened state in episode 9, and this is one of these ones where it's it's going to do another horrible job of trying to explain these movies, and these movies need to be removed. Okay. Episode 9 did a poor job of explaining how Palpatine had somehow returned. Ultimately, we were able to piece together a vague series of events that included him transferring his essence into a waiting clone body, unable to contain his powerful Sith form. The villain spent decades trying and failing to create a suitable form and managed to manipulate Kylo Ren by possessing Snoke. That in and of itself is really stupid. So the idea that he's killed by Anakin, but not killed by Anakin, which is like the whole story, is like Anakin coming back to the light, dealing with the Emperor, saving his son. Yay, what a great ending. No, his Force essence is going to travel bazillions of miles through space and enter a clone body that was waiting for him on Exegol. But because it's a clone body and it says it's his essence, and just because reasons, he's weakened. But the problem is, he's not really weakened, and we'll talk about that. We're still not sure whether Snoke was another failed clone or a being from elsewhere in the galaxy. The former seems more likely, but with fan service with such a priority in The Rise of Skywalker, explanations weren't much of a priority for Abrams. A new canon novel, Star Wars Master of Evil by Adam Christopher, has just been released, and it sheds new light on why Palpatine was in such a weakened state when we found him in The Rise of Skywalker. But was he, though? While inhabiting a failed clone certainly didn't help, it seems the loss of Darth Vader hit the Emperor harder than expected, as this excerpt from Master of Evil explains. The power of the dark side is the truth, but it is not a truth to be shared. Its secrets are to be gathered, hoarded, kept for the self. That is how it is meant to be. The master's strength and power come from the anger and fear of his apprentice. The master uses that power, absorbing the resentment, fueling the fire, focusing his power and his grip on the dark side. It is the apprentice that makes the master, not the master the apprentice. So we're saying he was in a weakened state, not because it's a clone body, and not because his essence just traveled bazillions of miles through space, but because Darth Vader wasn't around for him to absorb his resentment, Darth Vader's resentment towards him. So that's why he was weakened. Okay, well, no, the guys, we're not there yet. This doesn't make sense in millions of ways. This explains why the immensely powerful Anakin Skywalker was so appealing to Palpatine as an apprentice, and why he kept him by his side even after the former Jedi became more machine than man. Oh, it couldn't be that he was just using him for his abilities and to help him run his empire and deal with stuff. It's because he needed his resentment. What the heck? When Vader turned on his master, the rule of two was broken. Without his apprentice's power to leech from, the villain was weakened. As for why he used Snoke as an intermediary rather than taking Ben Solo as his apprentice, Palpatine likely feared another betrayal from in his frail form. Didn't seem like it to me in the movie. Like, he's just standing there, or hanging from that apparatus. He seemed like he was pretty confident, and it's not like he looked fearful at all. He just sort of told Ben, this is what's going to happen. I'll give you this massive fleet so you can go do some more dirty work for me, like your grandfather did. Like, that's essentially what it is to me. All this minutia, it's overkill. And here's the thing too. This is the big problem, is he wasn't really weakened. He wasn't. He literally wasn't. When Kylo Ren's there, what does he do? He lifts his frail hands and uses the Force to pull like 1,000 Star Destroyers out of the crust of the planet. That doesn't seem weakened to me. That's like the most insane Force use up to that point by far. Like, that's nuts. So one of the things they did to sort of alter this, and we get absolutely no indication of this in the movie, but one of the ways they thought that they could fix this, Because when you watch the scene, he's clearly lifting his hands up as if he's lifting something, right? So a whole bunch of people on a whole bunch of message boards tried to say that, like, oh, well, the engines were already on, and he was just giving a signal to the ships to rise out of the Earth's crust, and everyone was already on them, and all these people were there. I did a video about how that makes absolutely no sense, that there's millions of people on this planet to begin with, but whatever. And then they say that, oh, he was just giving a signal to them to lift the ships up. Okay, well, that still means that he's powerful enough to send a force signal into the brains of all of the captains of those ships to lift them up. Like, that's still pretty crazy. It's even if that is what you go by, which is not actually what it is, because I found what it is, and it's actually even less satisfying. So basically what it says in the book, the Rise of Skywalker book, that Palpatine raised his hand, his ruined hand. Kylo sensed him drawing on the Force, but before he could react, his surroundings disappeared as if into a fog, and a vision filled their place. And it's like, it talks about like a black void and all this stuff, and that, oh, it was just a vision that Kylo saw. He didn't actually see the actual physical ships. So it wasn't that Palpatine actually did anything other than just raise his hands up and give Kylo a Force vision. This is how they tried to explain this. But here's the problem. Those ships were physically there. They were there. Like, as the movie goes on from that moment that he lifts them, which is exactly what he did when they made it. They didn't think of any of this other nonsense to try to explain it. They were there. You could see them physically. There were people on them. And if they weren't there, like, if it was just a vision and they weren't actually there, don't you think Kylo Ren, when he's flying down towards the big trapezoid temple thing, that he might have noticed 10,000 or whatever it is ships up in the sky above it? Like, you don't think he'd be like, oh, wow, that's a lot of ships. If it was just a vision, like, because they were physically there. So the only way it could be a vision is if they had physically done that action beforehand. Like, they had risen up above the crust and they were there because they're there physically after that in the movie. And then Palpatine was showing him that action that happened. That would be the only way it would make sense for it to be a vision, because again, they're physically there. So he would have seen them when he was flying in. So these writers, they really think people are really stupid. We know what JJ did. He screwed up. He's supposed to be weak, but he's not weak. And this isn't the only thing, though. There's another huge one, too. So even if you take their really mishmash, stupid explanation from the book as at face value, there's still another problem. So it's just a complete mess. And just to kind of further this point a little bit here, the audio description at the time apparently said lightning, and this is for like visually impaired people, right? So they get the audio description of what's happening when you watched it on Disney Plus. Now, chances are pretty good they've probably changed it since then because of the novel and stuff, but this is apparently what it said. You guys can check, I don't know, but lightning courses along Palpatine's fingers and a Star Destroyer breaks through the planet's surface, throwing up chunks of Earth. It rises past the navigation tower along with several other destroyers. Now a vast fleet of the identical dagger-shaped ships floats in formation in the planet's atmosphere, which is what I was saying. It physically happened. It wasn't a vision. There's nothing here that indicates it's a vision at all. So I guess they just think you're supposed to accept these ridiculous retcons? I don't know. The only explanation I could think of that might have made sense, even though the whole thing is stupid and he should be dead, would be that he was pretending that he was weakened. And that's how he was manipulating Kylo Ren. So this whole, like, oh, he was afraid of him. He was afraid he was going to do something to him. It's like, well, he set it up to look frail. Did an act that was clearly not frail. And here's the other one, too. When he realizes they're a dyad, he's in his, quote, weakened state, but he's still powerful enough to suck all their dyad energy out of them. To grow his fingers back, basically, and put himself in a new outfit. That's essentially, like, there's no indication whatsoever that he's weakened, other than the fact that he's hanging off of this apparatus and his fingers are half cut off. Or incomplete, or whatever. There's literally no thing other than that. Because again, how does he lift the Star Destroyers? How does he suck the dyad power? How does he do that if he's this weak loser? It doesn't make any sense. The whole thing is ridiculous. So here we go again. We're trying to explain why it is the way it is, but you can't explain that. The movie was shot in a way and conveyed these messages in a way that you cannot explain them in supplementary material. Nothing in this trilogy can be explained with the comic books or anything else. It can't happen because the thing that happens on screen contradicts itself in front of your face. So you can't rewrite stuff to try and fix a contradiction when it's so obvious. Like, it's so ridiculous. So this idea that, because Vader wasn't around, he was frail when he really wasn't frail, he just kind of looked frail, is not a satisfactory answer. The whole thing is insane, and I don't understand how no one would catch this. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that JJ is some brilliant guy, but I don't think you have to be even remotely smart to know that if you show him using the Force the way he did when he's supposed to be frail, it doesn't make the viewer think that he's frail. I mean, I don't think you have to be a brain surgeon to figure that out. Literally, you could be anybody. Like, literally, the inbred population in the movie Deliverance would watch that and know that something is not correct. This doesn't add up. So, again, guys, it's just another example of it's time to move on. It's time to decanonize these movies. Not even just decanonize them, announce that they're not part of anything and they're redoing them. This years and years and years of trying to explain these things that are not explainable. You can't fix them. It's impossible. Like I said, the only way you could maybe explain them is to say he was faking being weak. Because that's the only explanation that makes sense. But then after he lifts the Star Destroyers, I don't see why Kylo Ren would believe he was weak anymore either. And I don't see on screen that he really did or didn't. I don't think, how could he? So it's just a mess. It's just another stupid mess. And this scene, I've done videos about different details of that scene, and you could write a novel on the problems with those Exegol scenes and how they make no sense. Going all the way through it, from first getting there all the way to Ben transferring his life force or whatever force heal. That's at least what it said in one of the books, apparently, that the force heal was what he used, the same type of power to resurrect her. All the way to that point, the whole thing is just full of just nonsensical dumbness that just simply can't be explained. You just can't. There's no possible way of doing it. And these really sad attempts of doing so, it makes me think like they're hiring these authors and being like, hey, we really need you to try and explain that. And they're like, okay. And then they do their best, but it's like, that's as good as it's going to get. It's because Vader's not there that he has no power now. Like as if before he met Anakin or before he had an apprentice, he's just this weak loser that couldn't use the Force. Like, I'm supposed to believe that. Anyways, so another dumb one, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe. It always helps the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.